Hey everybody, Zee Garcia here. Today I'm taking a look at the latest game in the two-player line from Lookout Games. This is Glasgow. So in this one we are going to be merchants, developing the city of, I'll give you two guesses, but you're only going to need one, Glasgow. And so we're going to be collecting resources, taking actions, gathering that stuff, taking actions, spending that stuff to build a shared little city between us, okay? That's what the game is all about. It's a very quick game. It's pretty easy to explain overall. It's got a couple of little nuances, but I think you're going to pick up on it right away. Let me show you. So here we're taking a look at the game setup, ready to begin. This is all randomized for the setup. We're going to just spacing out these tiles, the square ones here, with these characters where you can appeal to them and get some various goods. There's also two of these that randomly end up not in the setup. They are simply put aside. And which two are out is a pretty interesting change, actually. So these two are going to be out. Okay, I'll just set those aside for now. Let me explain what is going on. What are we trying to do? Well, we are going to be, between the two of us, building a common little city right here in the middle of the circle. And that will be, at most, 4 by 5 tiles. Doesn't matter which way it ends up working out. It could be 5 and 4. It could be 5 and 4. Doesn't matter, but that's when the game's going to be over, when that city is full. Those 20 tiles have been played, and then at that point we are going to score. And every time you build a tile, you just have to make sure that it is facing you so that you know it's yours, okay? So that's what's going on. Now, what are we doing in the game? Each player has one of these boards, and that board is going to hold resources, okay? You are going to begin with 1 steel, 1 brick. You've got room for 5 of these, 4 of these, 3 gold, and the barrel, of which is only 1, okay? And it will behave as a wild resource of any of the other ones. If it is ever claimed, though, if it's ever taken, it's taken by the player who claims it from anywhere it is. Meaning if you have it and don't use it, they'll take it, okay? So there we go, that's what we start with, and we are going to be taking turns. Not necessarily alternating turns, though, because the player who is next is always whoever is behind. So we've got our setup right here, and the blue player is going to go next. On your turn, you can move ahead as far as you want to, stop somewhere, and take an action there. If you stop on one of these, you are going to either collect the resources they give you or use a special ability of that space. If you stop on one of these, you are going to be acquiring tiles and adding them to the city here in the center, okay? So we're going to have blue go. They're just going to jump right to there and take 2 bricks. Great. So blue is going to be that board over there. They take 2 bricks. They add them to their supply. They're okay to hold them, so everything's good. And then it's back to green over here. Now, green is going to go here. And green's going to claim that barrel. Great. So green claims the barrel, puts it on their board. They are done. It's now back to blue because they are behind. And so blue is going to skip this one. They're going to land on that one right there, take steel. And then blue goes again. They're still behind, okay? And blue might go, say, to this one, okay? When you are the first one to arrive at one of these tiles, if it's empty, then you are going to take the rightmost one, the front of that tile, okay? So blue is going to do that, and they are going to, taking a look at what they've got in storage over here, they're going to build some of these, okay? These, of course, are going to come in a variety of different types. So you've got, in this case, he's got 2 choices there. There's the factory, which is going to make extra steel. It's also worth 1 victory point at the end of the game. And then this one over here is a special scoring tile called a bank. It's going to score at the end of the game 1 victory point for every brick they've got in storage over there. Pretty good stuff. So they're going to build this bank. Blue is sitting over there, so they're going to have that little arrow facing them. Okay, they're going to build it. They're going to spend the cost up here, which is 1 brick. Once that's done, we replenish that tile right there with this garden. The gardens here are going to score based on how many there are, the square of how many are built, okay? So say you build 3 times 3, 9 points. Okay? If you want to build another one, after you've landed there, you can spend 1 gold and do so. And then replenish that. And if you want to build another one, you can spend 2 gold and then pay for that one and build it. If you want to build again, you can spend 3 gold and so on. Obviously, that really doesn't go very far, okay? Usually you build 1 or 2. So there we go. Blue is not going to do anything else. They have no gold over there whatsoever, so they are done. And it is back to the green player. Now, the green player could go here, build something, and then they'll go again. They are behind the other player now. That's why you must go to the front on these. Or they could simply skip it entirely and just move up. They could go to that one, for example, and take 1 of anything. 1 brick, 1 steel, or 1 gold. They'll do that. They'll take the gold, put it right there. Back to blue. Blue could stop there, take the brick, and then they go again. They could go to this one, for example, which allows exchanges of some goods for other goods. They could go all the way up to this one and build something from there. They have another park there. And this one here is simply worth victory points. This is called, let's see, I've got my player aid right here, a landmark. Okay, I'm just looking at the back of the rule book, by the way, because I don't remember what everything is called, but they give it to you there. This is called a landmark. It's going to cost 2 gold, but it is worth 6 victory points. And again, if, let's say, green, where I'm sitting over here, built this, you put it adjacent to something that's already been built and facing me. This arrow facing me so that I know it's mine, okay? And then we replenish it. So that will continue until this is all built, and at that point we will score. The only other thing I want to talk about before I break some of these down so you know what everything does, though most of them are very simple, factories. I want to talk about these factories. When you build one of these, nothing happens. Not really. You pay your 2 brick in this case. It's going to be worth a victory point. That's it. But every time a tile is built, if it is in the same row or in the same column as factories, then the factories will trigger and make whatever they make for whoever owns them. So as this tile is placed here by myself or my opponent, I'm going to earn some steel. And I will bank that. So if you put them in advantageous places, you can certainly make a lot of points. I already talked about these parks. We've got a few other ones that are going to show up. So let's go through these. There's some other factories there for brick. This is another one of these landmarks. These over here, these are called tenements. And they are going to be worth victory points for adjacent tenements. 3 victory points for each adjacent one. And it does not matter if they are yours or your opponent's. Okay? They're also worth 1 built-in victory point, as you can see there. And then other than that, I think the train stations are the only ones I haven't really showed you yet. These are going to be 10 points if you can get a set. 1 of each of these other types, okay? 1 of these tenements, a park, 1 of the factories, and then the landmark there, I think is what that one is. Yeah, the landmark, okay? So there you go. That's what they all are. Different little things you can certainly pursue and see how well you do. So the rest of these abilities, a lot of them are really obvious, right? A couple of them are not. Let's talk about those, shall we? This one, for example, I believe it's her, yeah. When you go on there, you do nothing right now. So this player will come along, they'll go somewhere. The next place you go to from here, you activate twice. So there, blue gets 2 gold, and they will store that. All right? A couple of other ones. This one over here, you get to activate a factory that's out here in the display, and all of the ones adjacent to that, and the cross from that. So very good, very powerful if you have gone heavily into those factories. This one over here lets you take a tile from the piles over here, flip that face up, and either build it right now or take the leftmost cost resource. In this case, it's all steel, so the leftmost is steel. I could take that, or I could spend 3 steel right now and build it. Boom, right now. Okay? So that's what that one does. And then there's one that we ended up not seeing in setup. This one right here. When you activate that, you get to discard the 2 tiles, connect it to one of these folks, and add 2 new ones from the piles over here. So there you go. That's how the game works. It's very straightforward, as you can see. You are managing your space, certainly, that you have on your player board, but then also making sure that you are building carefully, not giving your opponent too many points by activating their factories, making sure that the geometry of everything works for you and not for them. And then there's also some tiles. Actually, I did not show you those. Where are they? That are going to score you points for the corners. Let me see if I spot one here. Let's see. There is in here somewhere. That one's that one. Let's see here. This one. There we go. That's the one. Just wouldn't come up. That one is going to score you 1 point anyway, but 5 points if you put it in a corner of whatever this 4x5 ends up being. So very tricky. You got to make sure you do this at the right time so you can guarantee it's going to be a corner, right? You want your borders defined before you commit to this. So there you go. That is it, folks. Let's go ahead and go back up top. Let me tell you what I think of it. That's what Glasgow looks like. I was intrigued by this originally because I think I saw a write-up from the designer. I must have been on I saw it online and it looked intriguing. I was like, oh, this has a neat, very Euro, very abstracted interest going on in it. And indeed, I was not disappointed. This is a really fun game. This is an excellent game. It really hits a lot of buttons for me. Checks a lot of boxes, what have you. Pick your metaphor. Let's talk about it, all right? Here's what I think of it. We're going to start with the theme, which gets a nice thumbs down. It's, this could be anything. The theme does not matter. You're not really going to be using it to teach, but you might argue that point when it comes to the different buildings. Maybe. Like, the tenements near each other score points because people like to live near each other? I don't know. So there might be a couple of those buildings you can maybe argue for, but overall, this could be anything. The aesthetics are okay. I'm not quite giving them a big thumbs up here. I don't like the artwork in it, or at least I don't think it's great. I don't dislike it, but I don't think it's great. The iconography is pretty good if small. It's just sort of a small package, and I would not mind if I could stick this whole thing in the bigger upper machine and just kind of hit it up by about 10 or 15%. That would be a little more comfortable, I think. But it's not terrible. It's not really, a hindrance to play. I'm just letting you know if your eyesight is not the best, some of the things are a little on the small side, okay? And the artwork, again, which I'm fairly indifferent about, also feels like it has very little impact in the overall playability or enjoyment in the game. Now, replay value. The game can go a lot of different ways, so that replay value, I think, stays high. The game is quite short, or at least it feels short because you're going back and forth quite a bit and it develops very quickly. So it feels punchy, it feels short. What does the box say? Let me find out what they say on his box. It says approximately 30 minutes. Yeah, that's about right. It's like 35. It's what it's taken me when I've played. Came down a little bit in some of the later games, but yeah, it's got a good replay value. I usually feel like I kind of want to try again after I play it. It leaves you with that sort of feeling of like one more potato chip feeling, and I like that. The game arc, like I said, fast development, lots of things to consider. Turns are quick, generally very fast turns, but where you go is just as important for you as it is for your opponent, right? Where you put yourself, what you leave behind you so that they can do while still going again. What strategy you pursue. And there are certainly different things to do in this. So the game arc has a nice forward momentum that feels compelling. The ease of play. Smooth turns. There are no sharp edges in this game. That's perhaps a little bad for some people. By that I mean that it's going to lack a little personality maybe, okay? I like a game that is smooth. I like a game that is It's very easy to explain. The turns are quick. Everything is logical and progresses at a satisfying pace. Makes sense. But also, you polish something too much, you're gonna lose all of the sharp edges, and it becomes a bit bland. This is not there, but I could see it maybe being there for some people. I don't find it that way. If you play a lot of games like this one, you might find this one a bit bland, okay? I liked it. I mean, the gameplay, okay? We're talking here about specifically the ease of play, how the game progresses. I could see some people being like, it's bland. The ease of play is high because the game doesn't offer me any sort of moments of, whereas I disagree with that, okay? Lastly, tactics, strategy, luck. Feels really well balanced for one thing. I'll put that out front. Every game I played of this, different strategies were tackled on both sides. Games came out tight. Like the scoring is always a nail biter. I like that a lot about it. Different paths to victory. How the game develops will be different. Like I had some games that were heavy on the little factories. So there was a lot of activity on the board. As tiles were added, it was like, boom, okay, I got a steel and a coin and a this and a that. Great. And some, those barely came out. Some were high in activity with the parts. Some were not. Some of the corners were hotly contested for, where people like overextended themselves paying gold just to build twice in a row or 3 times in a row to snag a corner, right? Some are not. So, yeah, it's interesting the way it sort of goes. And I think if you pick a couple of things, and you stick to your guns, and you do that path, stay competitive, then you can win. But it is definitely well balanced, and it feels that way. It comes across that way. I like it quite a bit. So there you go, everybody. That's Glasgow. I don't think anybody's necessarily considering this game because they are interested in the theme. And I don't think anybody's interested in it because of how compelling this is going to be to play with someone who isn't already into Euro-style management games. But if you are someone like that, if you want something that's quick, small, packs a nice punch for 2 players, this brings it. I'm very happy with this one. This is a keeper for me personally. I'm keeping a copy of this because I really like it. So this is going to get an 8 out of 10 from me. Strong 8. I very much recommend it. Yes, 2-player games are crowded. Yes, resource management games are crowded. Yes, this doesn't have anything necessarily brand new. Many of the mechanisms have been seen. It's a good mix, though. It's a nice cocktail in here. And I think you're going to enjoy it. If this is, if these pieces look good to you, the combination of those pieces makes for a nice quick snack, if you would. So there you go. That is Glasgow from me, everybody. Thanks for checking this out. My name is Zee Garcia. I'm going to see you on the next one.